Let's get started on the Click Wars podcast. Let's get started on the Click Wars podcast. Jamie, I am in the motherfucking building. What are you saying on the ones and twos?
Mate, you if it all goes wrong in the personal finance Instagram game, you could always be a drum and bass MC. Nice.
It's a past
Don't
life
worry,
of
that's
mine.
all.
Just don't tell anyone.
Old school raver, junglist, massive I was about R&B drum and bass MC.
Inside.
You sound like one of the blokes or people just do nothing. Like one of the...
Yeah, man. Yeah. MC Neat.
MC up the gains. All right. Anyway, so let's get into it now. We've got we had Chris Panteli on this episode, well known for being the founder of Linkifi, and it was really interesting. You know what you're getting with Chris. He's going to give you some good tips on HARO, especially as they don't just do the old HARO anymore. They've pivoted more widely into the general PR space, which I think is a clever idea. Because I think that digital PR is only going to become more and more relevant, and HARO collectively is like more uncertain than it used to be. Most people are reporting lower win rates via the new platform. I'm not sure if that's by design or by difficulty or anything else. But he talks about how to get around it, how to scale with AI, but not in a way that gets you caught, how they do stuff to maximize win rates, how they build those relationships with journalists so that they are the go-to for future link building efforts. And so he's an interest. I've seen Chris speak in Dubai, and we've met numerous times in Thailand and Vietnam, and I'm sure we've met somewhere else. I don't remember where though. And he's a lovely guy. His business partner is also a lovely guy. And Birmingham we met, and yeah, they're great people, and it's always good speaking to him because he focused on one thing only, and that is building links from PR and HARO. And so you get the real depths and actionable insights from that, which is what we're after here on Click Wars.
100%. I loved it. It was a good chat. The AI strategy is really interesting. And he was like, it's so layered. There's like 7 or different other strategies that they've got, which they don't talk about publicly. So, yeah, interesting to see where Linkifi go and how they integrate AI. And, you know, can they definitely, I think they already are a market leader, but for me, can they cement themselves at the top with this new strategy? Really interesting.
Yeah,
but
sure.
Let's get started on the Click Wars podcast.
All right, welcome to another episode of Click Wars. We had a couple of weeks off, then we came back last week, and now we're finally being consistent. I'm back from my flu. I'm out of bed, and we're back in action with one of the, I'd say, larger, more well-known of the both HARO and digital PR link building game. We've got Chris Panteli from Linkifi, who I've got a lot of questions on this one. I've just seen Chris's Dubai presentation on AI and link building in HARO and stuff like that. I'm surprised with how much gold he gave away. That was really, really, really informative. But then I spoke to his business partner and I was like, why did you give that all the way? He was like, well, we only gave you one of the 6 strategies or whatever. I was like, okay, fair. So we'll go through some of that. He's got a lot of tricks up his sleeve, clearly. A lot of success, growing like crazy from what we can see from the outside looking in. So if you're interested in learning about AI, link building, HARO, and all the rest, then definitely give this one a listen. But Chris, thank you for coming on. We really appreciate you taking the time to come and chat to us about this stuff. If you had gun to head, 20 seconds to give the audience the complete summary of how you got here and what you do, take it away.
Okay, well, thanks for having me here, Jamie, Sammy. What we do, white hat digital PR link building. So 2 pathways to that, either answering expert quotes on platforms like HARO, Press Plugs, Quoted, or taking the story to the journalist and running PR campaigns. How I got here, I graduated from university and then took over my family's fish and chip shop. I'm Greek Cypriot, so that was the natural path for me to do. Ran the fish and chip shop for about 15 years. Then just before COVID, got diagnosed with type 1 diabetes and at the same time had gone head first into like blog income reports, started a personal finance website, started making money, $1,000 a month. I thought, oh man, I could really do something with this. That's when I came across my business partner, because I was looking to outsource some like guest post link building. He'd seen some of the links I'd built myself to my site, the like HARO style links, New York Times, New York Post, Forbes. He said, how did you build these links? I said, I use this platform. And he said, could you do that for some of my clients? I said, yeah, that sounds good. I'll do my 12 hours a day in a fish and chip shop, and then I'll do some HARO queries after that. And then, we organically grew from there. It seemed to be like a demand for that service. And here we are today. And that was longer than 20 seconds. So I'm sorry.
Ask about the personal finance side. I didn't know that, dude. That's cool.
Yeah. That was the first thing that I my first foray into the like online world. So
Nice.
Came across like keyword research, I wrote everything myself. I think about 100 articles in the first year. Got some ads on there, found some good, like did some affiliate stealing from affiliate ideas from other sites that I saw doing well. And then started, making money with it.
Nice.
Tough space to be in though, finance. So obviously I knew link building was something to do straight off the bat. And then we just really, once I met my business partner, and I had this existing business, so I knew I couldn't sell my existing business for like a content site. I mean, look where we are now with the updates and stuff. So I mean, even then I knew like I can't just rely on like a content site to like give me a sustained like longevity of income. So when I came across my business partner and the idea of like doing an agency, something which I thought would be around for a long time, like PR and link building, that's when I thought, okay, and we grew, and that's when I felt comfortable to sort of sell that business and do this one.
And you are I'd say the face of it. I think most people would say, oh, Linkifi, yeah, that's Chris's. Like, I don't think they realize that there's two of you involved.
Yeah.
If they've ever met you at events, you're both there, and like, you can meet both of the Linkifi team, but you're definitely more of the face. So how do you divide the roles? Like, what does your co-founder do versus what you do, and how does that make it more effective? Because like there's the one co-founder versus two co-founder thing where there's like the pros and cons, and it's interesting that Linkify has got two people behind the scenes running it.
Yeah, good question. I do the fun stuff, go on Twitter and see people at conferences, and he does all the hard stuff, building the actual processes of the business. No, I don't know. I haven't really got any shame when I first started. I would just talk to anybody, and this is the industry to do that in, because people are they're nice for the whole part there. They're nice, and they'll talk back to you if you're not spamming them and you ask a question. They'll come back to you. I mean that's how me and Jamie first spoke. I think I just asked you something on Twitter, and many people in this industry are like that. So I wasn't afraid to just sort of speak to people, and then it just organically that became my sort of role in the business, because I was making connections, people that were like good at what they did, and that was how we grew early on as well. We sort of used the connections that I've made to sort of say to people, hey, look, this is something that we're pretty good at. Do you want us to do it for you for free? And if you like it, you can like promote us to your audience. So that worked really, really well. I mean, that audience has been a little bit sort of demolished now in the past few weeks, but I've always been a bit more of a tinkerer, a tester. Oh, this is a good idea. This is a good idea. Let's test that. Let's do that. And Nick is hyper focused. He's really good at like strategy, building systems. And then to actually have a co-founder for me, like I think this would have been extremely lonely to have just done it on my own. And to have somebody else, like when things are good, you need someone to like calm you down. When things aren't as good, you need someone to lift you up. And to have somebody that understands exactly what like I'm going through every step of the way has made the whole journey like thoroughly more enjoyable and like manageable, I would say.
And so you started off with mostly focusing on, or at least as far as I know, like focusing on the HARO side and the other like related platforms. So you've now branched into more of the digital PR side. What is the difference in like ideate? Because as far as I know, from the outside looking in, who hasn't done a ton of these campaigns, the digital PR side can pay off exponentially better if the campaign bangs. But there's more groundwork in ideating, finding something that can work, finding the trend that you can jack, or just like the right data study that will just get people talking about it. Mm-hmm. How do you balance how do you balance whether you're going to focus on each side for a client? And how do you predict what you can get the best results for? And even like we can move on to it. Like I'm interested in the ideation side for how you'd see a website and then go from A to B and put it all together.
Great question. So there is a fundamental difference between the two sorts of the two approaches. And that's like an easy way to assess, first of all, like which fit would be right for a client. So HARO, you have no control over what the journalists are asking. We are reacting to journalist requests. So the journalists are writing a story. They're working on an existing story, and that could be anything. And they're looking to source expert commentary from people that align with their story. The expertise of the expert will give gravitas and weight to the story and the comments that they make. So there is a clear line of sight when it comes to certain clients and certain niches which are prevalent in this sort of PR request ecosystem. For example, finance, home and garden, real estate, interior design, fashion, sport, fitness, health. These are what I would call sort of expert quote friendly niches. So as long as the client, and there's some fantastic domains where you can win links. I mean, we did one for you, Jamie, I think, or a couple actually for the same site. It was in like sort of like a home construction-y sort of niche, which is good. And then we're able to win some massive links on super authoritative sites, as long as we have a few things, which is we have an expert representing that site. We have the creative freedom to pitch these PR requests as the expert representative. And then we need time, because we are at the behest of the editorial calendar of the journalist, the luck of whether or not they pick our quote. So it takes time, but we can get some amazing links, and it really bolsters the experts like visibility as an expert on the authority sites. And then these authority sites are linking back to the client site as the expert. So it's like a really great way of building authority and expertise. But again, with those caveats on the client side. Digital PR is different in the sense that we are proactively controlling the narrative and creating a story, like you said, via like ideation, newsjacking, what's on trend, what's interesting, data studies. So we have a lot more control and a lot more of an ability to get the client to sort of pre-check everything. Then we build our media lists, then we can send everything out, and hopefully the journalists like the story, pick it up. And like you said, you aim for a target set number of links, but recently we had one go viral and it went everywhere, and like everybody picks it up, and yeah, can do really, really well. But that's the key focus there. We've got a lot more control on the narrative, and it's a lot easier for us to align the brand with the messaging. And it's not doable for sort of every site. I mean, I wouldn't run a digital, although I'd love to, I wouldn't run a digital PR campaign for porn, but I mean, that would be a lot of fun. But I don't know how many journalists would link to a porn site. But outside of that, you can try and make it work for anything, as long as you've got an idea that sort of relates to the site and is newsworthy.
You mentioned personal finance. It might be interesting because of your site, and also Sammy's. If you had had a site like Sammy's become a client, and you're thinking like, what can I do on the ideation front to go from a niche like this? What kind of like ideas could work, or like for anyone that's thinking of purchasing a campaign with you guys, what kind of steps do you go through on the digital PR campaign side to go from A to B and putting something together that you think has the highest chance of being a real hit and getting a lot of big links?
The ideation is the fun part. So we do ideation sessions with our team on a broad category of like niches and subjects. And you can do a number of different techniques, forced connections, where you just pick a bunch of random words and try and force connect those words. Like you might have elephant, tree, and then you might say, how can we force connect these two words, something to do with finance? And then someone might say, what about I can't think of anything now, but maybe like how you could use like an elephant tree in order to track your finances, let's say, just something weird or crazy. And you'll have a bunch of these ideas that don't make any sense, and they would never work. But then what you'll do is you'll look at stuff that's happening right now, stuff that's in the news right now. You'll look at TikTok TikTok videos that are going viral, that are trending, news that's on Twitter, and you'll take those like initial ideas that you had, and you'll see if anything can fit with stuff that's currently trending and stuff that's like happening right now. Then you'll also be thinking in the back of your mind about all of the predefined like dates, seasonality, time periods that are coming out. So if we were coming towards the end of the year, let's say like right towards the start of the year, after Christmas, that sweet spot between after Christmas and New Year, you might be looking at New Year's resolutions, which is like a really good thing that people often make like resolutions to do with finance. Then you might go back to your idea with like the elephant and the tree, and you might see, is there something that we could do about making a New Year's resolution? Maybe you've seen in the news that something's happened with an elephant. I'm going really off track here. This doesn't make sense. I'll give you an actual example we did. So we did one. It was in the news that Bloomberg had released the rich list, and we had a finance client. They just released it, Bloomberg billionaire list. So we used AI to compile all that data, and we wanted to see if there was any really interesting points. And this is the final thing, is data as well. So if you can tie data, which is a better example for me to do than the force connection, because elephants and trees, I'm struggling to think of. With the data thing, we saw the Bloomberg release, we had the finance client, and we found this correlation between number of billionaires in that list that shared the same birthday. So that was like a super interesting extraction from the data. We put that together, sent it off on behalf of the client, and that got picked up like by multiple publications. So it's a really, really fun, thing to do. And like, you just see stuff that naturally lends itself. So we've got a few clients in the tech space, and then more specifically, we've got some clients in like the AI space as well. And obviously recently blowing up on TikTok is Kate Middleton's like AI doctored photo. And then you can go an ideation session. What could we get this expert to do? 5 things to spot in an AI generated fake image. How can you spot a fake image? Protecting yourself online from fake images, and it can just build from there. So
really kind of going deep into what the brand expert is good at, what they bring to the table, what their brand, what they've been mentioned for before, what's current, and then pulling this all together and then formulating a strategy of how you're going to go out and hit certain topics and trends. And then you're going to do newsjacking alongside of it, and then HARO as the support. So, like coming at it from like multiple different angles. And then I've seen a lot of studies where they've built big pages and data studies on pages, and they link into these studies. Mm-hmm. Do you do stuff like that from the ground up? So like, we're going to commission 1,000 people to do a survey about, the state of price of milk in different regions or whatever that might well be, these types of things, and then link into these studies. Is that another route as well?
Yeah, that's a great route. We don't do too much of that. We're starting to build that side of our service offerings out. But that's a great way, especially for like e-com sites or sites with really important pages. So they want to grow more than just their overall domain authority. If they're looking to really boost specific, let's say, product pages or category pages, no journalist is going to link to a category page. But what they will do is they'll link to a study page. So if you can come up with an idea that, first of all, allows you to build a study that's interesting, that can go on the client site. And then if this study can be in some way related to the 2 or 3 important pages that you want to pass link juice to, and then if you can get this study to match the niche of the actual overall website. So let's say you had an e-com website selling fitness gear. Different types of like water bottles and leggings and all this sort of stuff. What you'd want to do is, let's say they've got 4 or 5 category pages that they really want to link to. Then what we can do is we can think of fitness as being our broad topic that we want to come up with something interesting in. And we're going to do a big study. Let's say we're going to survey Americans, or survey people in London, how much they're spending on gym memberships and how often they're using them. Something interesting like that. Then you can build out this study, publish it on the website. then you can reach out to the journalist with this interesting story. 50% of Londoners pay for a gym membership but never go, and then you can have that. Hopefully, that goes viral. You get a bunch of links to that study page, and then you can link out on this study page to those 2 or 3 category pages that at least make somewhat contextual sense to the study page. And then you're going to be taking the link juice from the study page and spreading it to those just few core key pages.
Interesting. That's something that I've been looking into, because finance is just rife. Like, you can pretty much go and take ONS data from one topic, and then your versus topic and it's free public data, and then basically marry the two together, put new calculations out, which it is you coming up with something, because you're just basically using a calculator, and then you could just, especially by region, you can just literally pull the Excel thing down, and suddenly you've got like brand new data for that region by just putting two things together. And it's super interesting, and then you create nice visuals, infographics, all these types of things, and like they just seem to like, it just seems for me like as the next logical step, because I've been building out homepage links, I've been building out, internal guest post links and HARO, and it's like, well, now I just want to hit hard. How do I do that? I need a lot of links quickly. Probably like a data study is a good way of doing that.
Yeah, and if you're going to do it yourself as well, and you're finding it hard to spot a correlation between that like freely available information, then you can just use AI to not only like put it into graphs or like break it down, study it, analyze it. You can also ask it to find correlations that you might otherwise not have seen, which is just
interesting.
And it's so good at it. It's like, it's scary, especially when you can like turn study data into like
data.
Yeah, high volumes of data, like PDF documents. You can get it to like cross-analyze multiple PDF documents and say, like, look at this study, tell me some interesting things that differ between the two, or find a correlation between certain data points. It's really good at spitting stuff out.
Let's talk about AI then, like how you're doing that, because I think it's amazing. It's the next level, isn't it?
It is. It really is. It's nuts. I mean, it's changing every minute. That's the problem. To keep on top of it. I mean, Charles Float's AI Dubai was like awesome. I think the next level is going to be this agent creation, this like auto gen agents where you can create different like elements of AI to interact with each other and perform different jobs. For us, we're trying to build a system where we can interact with agents that can go and fetch large amounts of data, like at scale. And then we can interact with that data with a chatbot. So we're not quite there yet, but you can use individual elements that can do that. So like web scraping tools, you can scrape huge amounts of data quite easily with like no code web scraping tools. Once you've got that data, you can then format it in a way which is really workable, and then you can use it any number of the AI tools like ChatGPT. Data analyst section's fantastic. Claude's new model is really good at doing stuff. Gemini's good. There's so many different tools, so you can just play with them and see what you get out. And if you don't like what you get from one, do with another. Or if you get something okay from one, ask the other one to like look at it and interpret it in a different way, and like use them all with and against each other.
That is cool. When you're doing a data study, or maybe not even that, like it's just more generally, if we're going to go back to like the HARO versus digital PR thing, from what it sounds like to me, is that it's a lot easier to build a team that can grind out links on HARO, because the game is more controllable, because you pitch, you work out if it worked, why it wouldn't work, then you fix it, and then you build that into the SOPs. You can delegate that, and then you can get links. But the digital PR side feels more dynamic in that like there's more creativity, there's more room for wins, but there's also like if you get it wrong, you just like, even if you like don't do the best HARO campaign, if it's got the information they need and it's quotable and you've done it in the right way, you can still win that. Whereas no one will publish a story that isn't exciting for a campaign for PR. How do you control the ups and downs in PR versus like HARO pitching? And how do you build a system that can keep generating those kinds of links without it like being just you in the trenches all day in a more dynamic meta?
HARO and expert quote pitching is, for us now, has become a very systematized, like logical approach. And the more like data points that we have from our side, so as the years go by, We know so much more information about individual domains, individual journalists, whether or not domains link, whether or not they do follow, no follow link. We have a huge internal blacklist of domains that we never pitch based on the fact that we know that they don't link. So if you were new to this, starting on the HARO, and you were just like looking on the Connectively platform or the HARO platform, and you were just looking at the queries, and you said, right down to we know which sites are, healthy DR high traffic mixes. They're not artificially inflated. They're not scam sites. You see so many scams on HARO, reporters that will seemingly be posting queries from a good publication, and then you'll craft a pitch, and then you'll get a response back saying, hey, this was a great pitch, but I'm full on this particular article. However, if you link to my site.com here, I'll give you a link from this site. So we know the people that are doing this. We blacklist them. We blacklist the domains that they're doing it from. We know right down to the sort of context and like length of content that certain journalists want to see from different publications. So we've really, like you said, been able to hone that down into like a system that works. And we also know like the likelihood of a client being able to win a link. So you do have to stretch it as much as you can. Otherwise, there just isn't going to be enough opportunities. So if you've got a finance site, answer the finance queries, obviously. But there's really only 10, 15, 20 like pure finance sites. The rest of the time, you're going to be looking at ways that you can give expert commentary on behalf of a finance expert that logically makes sense for that query, even though it's not specifically a finance query from a pure finance publication. So you also need to know like where the line is, where you can push that. So on that side, we're pretty honed on that. We know what we can do, the limitations, and we're always learning as well, tweaking, testing, trying to make the copy as good as possible and inject like fresh ideas, quotable lines, or this sort of stuff. But the downside with this is it does take time. So you can send off lots and lots of pitches, and for whatever reason, it's just not connected with the journalist, or that particular expert maybe doesn't have a great web visibility outside of like the one social profile that they've got. And this can hinder a campaign in terms of length of time, although we always get to the set number of links that the client's purchased. With digital PR, I don't believe it is a never-ending need to find new and fresh ideas. And I'll caveat that by there is a need for that, but you can very much in the way that you're going to approach like starting a new website, you're going to do sort of competition analysis of what's working, what's currently ranking, who's in the top 10 on the SERPs. When you're going to do a campaign for a client, you can see historically campaigns that have worked well, and then you can go right down to see which journalists these sorts of campaigns have done well before. So it gives you the ability on both sides, one, to create a campaign somewhat proven, and you're going to need to come up with a fresh idea and take a new angle, but certainly whether or not it's this TikTok video, and you're going to do a breakdown of why everything that was said in this viral TikTok video is not accurate, down to I don't know, something as old as the age of PR itself, like 7 expert tips from a travel expert if you're going to Spain on your summer holiday. So I mean, this works. You see this in the news cycle year in, year out. Obviously, you need to do something a bit more interesting, but at least the actual broad format of that sort of PR campaign, has been tried and tested. And then on the other side, you can build a much better media list based on knowing journalists that have historically liked this sort of story and picked it up, and journalists that are working in this space, working for publications that have a high likelihood of being receptive to this sort of PR campaign. So while it's not an exact science, you can stack the odds in your favor. And then if it doesn't work, you just do another one and change the angle, or like do some outreach a couple of days later and slightly tweak the headline or the copy, or maybe say you've got some additional research, and you can just work it like that. And then again, you're always learning. You're always getting feedback from the campaigns that you're running. You won, a few campaigns and you go, God, this is really working at the minute. You can milk that and do that across multiple clients for multiple campaigns.
And how do you what software do you use for identifying journalists that have written about similar campaigns to like shorten the research time? Like that's an interesting way of reverse engineering a campaign that I didn't know too much about.
We use Muckrack and a few other tools as well, but Muckrack's the main one. It's a great software, a great tool. It's not cheap as an entry point if you wanted to try and do some campaigns for yourself, there's a tool called Prowly, which I think is owned by SEMrush. And that's a really affordable entry point where you can start looking at journalists based on the topics that they've covered. They've got like a reasonable database, and you can actually do everything inside of that one tool. So if you've got like a good site and you can come up with some interesting ideas, that's a really good place to get started. Like as a if you want to try and do it yourself, or maybe test it yourself and then build a little system out with a VA. Prowly is a really affordable, I think it's a couple of $100 a month, something like that. So it's a really affordable entryway into the space. And like I said, that gives you the ability to look at journalists, and these databases are only as good as how often they're like, kept in check, updated. If one journalist that wrote for, let's say, The Sun for 20 years as a travel writer left last week to go to a different publication and now does hair and beauty at a different publication, then if the software is keeping that information up to date, then you're going to have a better media list when you're pitching your travel PR campaign, which is why Muckrack is one of the better tools for that. But Prowly's still good, and it's still got good data, and you can still do well with it.
And when you're outreaching and pitching them, is it you just put them into like Pitchbox or like an Instantly, or like how do you then go and outreach them once you've got that? Or can Muckrack do that all in one?
Yeah, you can do all that through Muckrack, and then you can do your follow-ups all through that as well. Yeah.
Nice. Okay, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's all service.
Name, by the way, though.
Which one?
Muckrack.
And you can Prowly as well. You can do it all through, if you're going to do Prowly, you can do all that through Prowly as well. You can send the emails through Prowly. You can set automated follow-ups like 2-3 days later. You can do all that through the tool as well. So it's good. And don't forget, these news publications are still hungry for content. Whereas if you're sending guest post outreach campaigns or you're doing Skyscraper, these guys have seen these emails now for so many months and years. They're just not receptive to it. Whereas journalists, their job is continually to produce new content. So you're almost on their good side. They kind of want your emails to come in. As long as you don't piss them off, send them spam, send them like fake news, then you've got a good shot of them going, this is, this could work for their publication.
That was going to be my question, man. Because like for me, what I'm seeing with AI, and especially in HARO, as we know, like AI is a problem for a lot of journalists. A friend of mine runs a PR agency, and she's constantly fighting on ways to actually get through to these journalists now. Simply their inboxes are like 5x in the amount of incoming requests for stories. Like, it seems like cutting through at the moment from a link building perspective, but equally from a PR perspective, is actually the real thing that, getting them to even read the pitch is a lot harder. How are you navigating what seems to be, quite troubling?
Fundamentally making sure that you're not producing like you're not using AI in your pitch. And then if you are using it in any form in your actual campaign, that it's unrecognizable. So, I mean, AI has so many uses. The one thing where it's not going to work, or it's not going to resonate, or it's going to get flagged, is if you just like say, hello, ChatGPT, write me a PR campaign as a travel expert, 5 tips for how to have a good holiday in Spain this year. Copy, paste, hello, ChatGPT, write me an email to a journalist to promote this PR campaign, and then send. Journalists, they're professional writers, that's their craft. They will smell that probably even before it hits their inbox. They'll smell it coming, and then it hits their inbox, and they're going to just delete. So while it is noticeably a more crowded space, there is a golden opportunity to stand out because of the amount of shit that is there. So a gold nugget stands out in a sea of shit. Yeah.
I was just going to say, so then you're actually positioning yourself like as the thought leader. You're getting that trust because your subject line looks highly personalized, and you're really taking the time to think about what you're sending to that person.
Yeah. And if you can send good stuff to journalists, then the next time you email them, they're going to recognize your name.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they're going to say, this girl sent me a really, really good press release that I ran, and it got like lots of clicks, and the journalists' editorial teams are looking at the content that the journalist produces, and they're tracking stats on how that content is performing. So if you provide something that's really noteworthy, and they're able to run a story that gets their publication lots of clicks, lots of eyeballs, then the journalist is happy because their boss is happy and they want to know what else you've got for them. And that's when you can start the really powerful part of this process, which is the relationship building. And then sometimes, or after a period of time, they'll be coming to you, especially if you're presenting good experts, good stories. You're not known for just, copy, paste, clicking AI crap. And that's where the power can build.
They want the bonus as well, don't they? So if you're
Yeah.
giving them the bonus, like, they like you, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Have you noticed on like Connectively now that or just not, I don't even want to put words in your mouth. Have you noticed any differences in the results for number of replies, pitches won, and stuff like that, with AI becoming more people using AI for HARO pitches? For me, like, I don't really do much, but like we did one small, like, I mean, to be fair, we just get used to it. But when we did one go on one smaller project, as soon as we moved over to Connectively, it was really difficult to get a response. We just needed like a couple links just to like get this one launched and whatever, right, on this new project. And it was really difficult to do. And I thought that we were writing good stuff. And I was wondering, is it just that they are flooded with AI pitches now? And in fact, now that they've gone to a charge per pitch model, is that a good thing? Because most of these people spamming don't want to pay the toll, in which case it's actually better and more profitable now they pay. Or like, how are you finding it?
They haven't like fully rolled out yet, so they're still sending emails and they're still doing the Connectively platform. So once they've moved fully to the paid model, I think it will be better, like you said, because unless these spammers, the AI spammers, are going to pay per pitch, I don't think it's going to be worth it for them. So I think it's going to reduce the spam, and then you'll get the smaller amount of pitches going to the journalists of higher quality. But for us, like I said, we've got a lot of data points on our end where we can narrow down our efforts so much anyway, that we're maximizing our opportunities for each pitch that we send. So we know what and what not to send for each client, which publications to send, not to send to, not send to, right the way down to things like, how good is a good amount of time to respond to this journalist. We know that US journalist is US based, let's say, and they always pitch, let's say, the UK GMT morning queries, or they come in early GMT morning. You know that US based journalist isn't going to be looking at their inbox for hours. So that isn't one that you need to sort of rush to get in, because when the journalist comes in and they see their inbox, maybe they're going to scroll down. And if yours is a later submission, maybe they're going to see that one first, as opposed to if the journalist is a UK-based journalist and they're submitting early time GMT, you want to get that one in as quick as humanly possible, because they're like possibly doing the story that day and they want to see something come in immediately. So all of these factors allow us to maximize our chances and opportunities. But it is an interesting space at the moment, especially in terms of AI and the requirements of the journalists to verify their sources and their credentials. So you need to be providing them with like web visibility proof of the expert that you're pitching as. So if you're pitching as a fake persona with a AI generated profile picture, they're not even going to look at it. Like, we give all of the journalists, the clients, LinkedIn profiles, and then we try and show where else these clients have been featured, so that it makes the journalist's job really, really easy to trust the source that they're going to be quoting in their article. And I think that makes a big difference as well.
For the journalists, do you think they're using any kind of like originality AI or any other AI detection in the actual scanning of a pitch, and then if it triggers a certain percent, they just don't even read it at all?
I've got on good authority from journalists that they are doing exactly that. Obviously, the AI detection tools are only as good as the AI behind the detection tool. I mean, you could write a paragraph of human text and it's going to flag as AI. So I think it's a bit of a nonsensical game to some extent, because at some point we're not going to be able to detect AI, and then we're not going to be able to have any detectors that can or cannot detect AI. So it's like a zero-sum game. There's not going to be a winner. The sniff test is the first thing to do. Like, look at the content that you produced. If you have used AI to help, which I'm not saying is a bad thing, you can use AI in a great way, as I went through at my Dubai talk, but you need to pass the sniff test. If you've got like 4 phrases in the opening paragraph that are like classic AI phrases, this is not a one size fits all dilemma. Like one size fits all is AI. Journalists going to spot that straight away, and it's probably just going to go, even if this is or isn't, they're not going to give it time of day. They are using AI detection tools though, for now at least. So try and pass those, and also copy the actual like copyscape sort of tools, making sure that they're not infringing on like copyright of previously published material, because that can really get the journalist into trouble. And as we know, AI isn't really coming up with anything fresh unless you're inputting fresh stuff into it. So that's another good thing to check as well, especially the tier 1 publications. They're checking that.
And so you actually showed some of the examples of links that you'd won and campaigns that you successfully done with HARO, despite it being like quite heavily powered by like AI to save you time and make it more effective. How are you managing to make sure that you're still building these links as effectively and getting around all of these sensors and filters? What would you recommend to anyone who wants to pitch for HARO, wants to use AI, but wants to not be seen as using AI?
Well, I mean, the core element of our sort of structure is the buck stops with human editors. So I would say that's like a core, like elemental part of our process. Nothing gets sent out up until human editing. I also think you'd be stupid to not use AI in anything that you do if you can, because it's faster, it's better. What you don't want to do is just use it in its vanilla form. So you just don't want to open up AI, ask it a question, and copy and paste that and send it off. Like, that's no good to anyone in whatever you're doing. Like if I'm going to write an important, I recently did quite an important letter that I had to do, and I used AI, but I wrote probably as much prompts and bullet point information as the actual output that I like eventually used. So I wanted AI because I wanted it to my sentence structures are terrible, like my punctuation's awful, like I won't have a full stop and the sentence will be that long. So but I'll use AI. I'll know what I want to say and I'll have my own tone of voice and I'll want it to sound exactly like what I'm saying, but I'll want AI to just speed up me having to like go through it meticulously and make sure every sentence is perfect. So you've got to be using it in this day and age, but you've just got to make sure that it doesn't seem like you've used it, which I don't think is that difficult to do if you have like steps, processes, SOPs, spot checks, and like final checks before you send anything off.
Do you find that there are any niches or like not clients, but like the areas where you're just like, oh, this is really, really difficult to get HARO or digital PR links? Or do you think that there's an angle for everyone? Like I've had, for example, you've managed to get links for me, even on some pretty obscure stuff that I tested you guys and a competitor, and they couldn't do it. We had to just get the links moved over to a really easy fashion site. But you were able to do it. But is there even times where the Linkifi, the Chris master of HARO, is like looking at a niche and going, fuck's sake, man, I've got to do, like, obviously you mentioned like porn and stuff being a difficult one for digital PR, but are there any really, really tough niches out there?
I would say the tough niches are the niches, so HARO friendly. The way that we work with it, the way that we work around it is all about the positioning. So the way that you position the expert, and then for us that boils down to like how flexible the client can be. But if let's say you own a website about goldfish bowl maintenance, okay, that's the entire website. So when the journalist lands on the website, they are seeing like crappy affiliate site and it's like about goldfish bowl maintenance. They're just selling like goldfish based like affiliate click stuff, right? That's pretty tricky. So I'm going to see that and go, oh, for God's sake. But if we can position the guy who runs the site, so let's say the site is the site owner has got some qualifications in like animal care or anything that's more broadly suited to the broad niches that are like HARO and press request friendly, then the journalist is much more interested in the expertise of the person pitching, the qualifications, the visibility of that expert on the wider internet, than they are with the site. It does become troublesome when the link between the two is like forced beyond a point where it makes sense. but you can really always find a connection. I mean, we do a service called Expertify where we can find this expert for you, and we have done this in multiple occasions where we just find a vet. Okay, any sort of loosely based animal site, if it's got any connection to animals, we'll find a vet, get some content produced for that website, put that vet on the about page as a contributing author, then we'll pitch as that vet, and the journalists are more than happy to link back. And the only time you really need to expertify is when those credentials that you're pitching as are sort of like YMYL. So you don't want to be just saying, oh, I'm a vet. But for your site, Jamie, that we did, I think it was something that anyone could be an expert in. I think it was like carpentry or like engineering or something like that, maybe construction, something like that, that like this person could be an expert in construction, and that sort of home maintenance, home niche is super popular for PR requests. So that was quite easy for us to just to do and win the links.
Have you ever turned down clients? You're like, oh, we don't do those niches. Like, is there any, like, will you not do an adult site because of the same like issues you mentioned for digital PR, like getting links back, or is there nothing off the table?
We have a list on our site of stuff that we don't do. So like, no journalist is going to link to ammo, guns, weaponry, porn. Although I would love to give porn a go. I reckon I could do it. A doctor, like some sort of porn-related doctor, I reckon. PR would obviously be the route. A penis doctor, yeah. PR would be the route to go for porn, because no journalist that's like trying to make their article better is going to, if they're writing a health topic, is going to quote a doctor from a porn site within. But PR could work. But yeah, those like weapons and porn, I'd say the main two that we haven't.
Do you do
yet.
gambling?
Oh, and gambling we don't do either. Yeah, that's the other one.
There's lots of money in the PR game for gambling, though.
Gambling PR we can do, but not HARO.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
You can get some links for gambling sites on HARO, but I just don't think there is enough opportunities. I think you can get 2 to 3, maybe up to 5. 5 is our smallest package, but then oftentimes these gambling sites, they've got like, then they tend to be quite profitable businesses, and they want they want to be shone in a good light, and it's quite hard to force the connection. Like, you can answer some more broader business queries, but then the gambling sites, they're often looking for sort of anchor text, and you just don't get that with HARO. Like, it's going to be a domain, a homepage link, and you need to broaden the scope in order to answer it, and then therefore it's got nothing to do with gambling, which they tend to want it to be more niche specific on the topicality of the actual article as well.
Nice. PR is good for gambling. Okay, cool. I'd really love to ask you about, because what we're seeing right now is basically a capitulation of what was once quite a burgeoning, I hate the term, but niche site industry. I've been slapped, Jamie's been slapped. You just have to look on Twitter and you can see, probably walk away with hundreds of people that have been slapped. How does that affect you, and what do you kind of see as the future of this? Are you moving more into the brand space? What's the kind of the landscape look like from your perspective? Because it's interesting hearing it from a link building perspective too.
I mean, none of us know how long links in their current guise are going to be around. So when we started the agency, like I said, I made the decision to leave, sell my previous business. I wanted something with longevity. And even then, 3 years ago, Google's going to devalue links. They haven't yet. It's sort of hardwired into their algorithm for now. I don't think any of us saw that potentially, 2 or 3 years down the line, we'd be questioning whether or not Google would be around, let alone whether or not they'd be valuing or devaluing links. But, the rise of ChatGPT and AI-driven search. But at the heart of it, PR, we're doing this for our clients for a fundamentally SEO purpose, as well as brand building, which obviously work hand in hand along with, EEAT and the way that you can position yourself to your customers. But it's much more broader than that. PR is an industry which is, very, very old industry and is going to be around for a long time. It's not a secret that if you've got a smaller brand, and a real business, and you want to elevate your smaller brand and real business, then one way to do that is to align yourself with larger brands that are real businesses. So I'm confident that PR will be around for a long time. And I think real businesses performing well in Google will be around for a long time. So e-com, we work with a lot of e-com, real estate sites, real businesses that aren't really ever scared that they're going to get slapped by an update because they're a real business. Although I know real businesses have this time, unfortunately, but none of our clients have. So I think that's going to be the future of this space. I just think it'll be quite dynamic in the sort of clients that we target. So it's been a lot of fun sort of building relationships in the affiliate space. But I think everybody in this space now is looking to at least make a soft pivot, see the lay of the land in the next month or so, and then see what happens. I think what would be interesting is if all the affiliates sort of left the space and then there was a boatload of like free Google search traffic, and just a few people started to sneak back in and like get massive success and return on low volume search keywords. But we'll have to see when we are. I'm not sure.
Well, that's what I'm still going to keep stuff updated, because if everyone drops out,
exactly,
even if I mean, there's so few SERP real estate available to affiliates versus what's getting given to large brands or e-commerce now on those intents, but surely it's such a positive signal of we took all their traffic away and they kept posting for a year, that they're like, oh, we'll give it to them back in a year's time or something. That this made me think well, if they're looking for signals of quality and not being an SEO focused site, surely they continue to exist and do stuff when SEO wasn't. We weren't giving them any traffic from SEO. Surely that's a positive signal. Maybe we'll see the recovery at some point from that. But I mean, I'm mostly just joking. But it's we'll see. We'll see what happens. Right?
Yeah, exactly. I was just searching for something earlier. By intent keyword on it was quite a long tail product, gardening related products. Can't remember. I've just seen an episode of Shark Tank, and I wanted to see what this thing was. I can't remember exactly. It's 4 or 5 words. It was some sort of outdoor something. Top site, DR6, 75k traffic. Clicked on the site. This was a real e-com site, a Shopify site. This page was a top 5, really nice looking site. You click on the top 5 was just short content that just told you the best 5, and then it didn't have affiliate links. It just took you to its product page. So it's not over. You know what I mean? And Google is huge. They are still controlling the vast majority of search, and there are more and more people every single day searching and clicking. The population is growing. I don't know. I think it's not something to just give up on. Just be aware, diversify, and build a brand. That's going to be the longevity of a business. And if you're online, you need to be online everywhere: social profiles, website, apps, YouTube, TikTok. And you still want to be featured in big publications, because that tells your customer that, hey, I'm Jamie IF, I'm a marketing expert, it's my YouTube channel, I've been featured in Forbes, New York Times, I've been on the, Ahrefs blog. This is how you give credence and credibility to yourself and your business as a brand. And brands,
100%.
It's all about brand.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more with you, mate. I couldn't agree more.
What's your day-to-day like now? You've built the systems, you've made them successful. I'm sure you're not done. You're still in the trenches tinkering and improving, but now managing multiple services, managing what sounds like to be a pretty big team that executes on the more granular level. What's your day-to-day look like now?
It's still really busy. We haven't got all of the sort of me and Nick are by no means out of the day-to-day at all. Yeah, that's what we're growing the team. This is what you've got to do. It's still very much in the trenches at the minute, because we're still building the systems, and we're still stuff is changing continually. So new AI stuff, platform changes, Google updates, customer acquisition strategies, everything is not in any way, shape or form. I can go on holiday for a month and everything will be fine. So we're in it. I'm in Thailand as well, so my day is flipped around. So it's going to be good when I get back to the UK and I can get back onto a normal working time zone. But also I'm a shiny object person as well. So if I see something which I think, oh, that's really cool, we should definitely be doing that, I'll move on to like, I'll go from having like one main project, like 4 or 5 small projects, to 6 or 7 small projects. And then I'll have to like delete some of the smaller projects to the ones that actually, should be done. And then, emails coming in, and trying to get time to like watch TV and spend time with my long-suffering 2-month wife. And then also conferences as well, which is one of the most fun parts of the whole thing. So conferences and networking, I think that's one of the things it's really hard to measure the ROI on that, but it's definitely is awesome.
Did you notice there's a lot of business coming from Dubai?
For us, we've had some business coming from Dubai, but it's for us, it's like, I think it's like a touch point thing. Like you do a podcast, you go to a conference, you bump into someone that you did a podcast with ages ago that you forgot, and you go, oh, hey. And then they might hear you again on something. So SEO Mastery from last year, which was the Vietnam conference, like that's been producing sort of ROI, like a full 12 months later, someone will reach out, they'll buy, or they'll book a call, and then they'll buy, and then you'll sort of track where that sale came from, and it was that they met you at a conference 12 months ago. Or you'll get referrals from people that have met you. Maybe they're in we're all in the same sort of industry, but maybe they're in, I don't know, keyword research, or they run a SaaS tool, and someone reaches out to them and says, oh, this is great, but I'm actually looking for some links as well. And they might say, I know a guy who does great links. Met him at a couple of conferences. You should. So it's just, it's hard to measure, but it's really, really powerful.
Yeah, I didn't go to Vietnam last year, but I'm going to be there in a couple weeks' time for the Saigon SEO Mastery, they call it. And so I'm looking forward to that. It should be good. Yeah,
but you've got to not get absolutely pissed out your face like towards the end of the night. That's the trick.
He will. He'll be pissed at the conference.
Oh yeah.
I need to rein it in, I think, because like after I came back from Dubai, and I was so ill, like I was so like,
really,
yeah. I'm one of those people that like when I have 100% energy, I've got like so much energy. Like I'm good fun to go on a night out with, because I all this, but like I burn it out too fast, and then so by the tail end I've like used up 4 days energy in 2-3 days, and I'm just, that's nothing, and I pay the price the time after, so it's on me.
You've got affiliate gathering soon as well, mate. You're gonna be seshing hard almost every week.
We're coming to that as well. That'll be good.
Are you
in York?
Oh, cool.
Yeah. I'm doing the Q&A, I think, for that, so that'll be.
Oh yeah,
fun.
I saw you in the lineup actually. Yeah, wicked. Yeah, I look forward to meeting you there, man. We'll definitely have to grab a pint on the subject of booze.
Yeah, so. There we go. That's the start. We'll make sure Jamie's on the water.
Well, you say that, but we've kind of christened Pop World in York as like the place that everyone goes to. Like we made it like a cultural affiliate gathering, like rite of passage. So you have to get drunk after both nights. So there's the day before where the fringe events are. So I believe it's Nina Clapperton and WP Eagle have fringe events. So you do those, get a good buzz going on, food, great time, meet at the bar early. Oh no, I think it might be Craig Campbell's, not Alex's this time. I think it's Craig's event. And then after that we go to Pop World, and then just get slaughtered in Pop World. Like we're all a mess, and then do it again
there about 1 a.m. basically, and then it's like it's got a spinny podium, so we just we're like all on the spinny podium, and it's not something I'm proud of, but while you're there, absolutely fantastic.
Actually, Jamie, if you remember on the cruise in Dubai, I think you owe me the purchase of a 5-link package, because I did some sort of roll for you, if you remember, some forward roll.
So the backstory to anyone listening is we spent about an hour trying to convince Joe Davies from Fat Joe to do a roly-poly, and he was fucking drunk and wouldn't do it. And he doesn't remember any of this. Like he was just like, just, that look where like you just know that he's not remembering this conversation. And so then Charlie Clark did it, and he did it twice. proper roly-poly inside the boat. And so then we ended up looking for other people to join us in on what we thought was the funniest thing in the world at this point after like fucking 20 shots. One of the few people that would actually have done it and actually went and did. I think I've still got the video. I can send it to you if you want it for like marketing materials. The only one who does the roly-poly, you can trust us at Linkifi, was Chris. He actually went and did it, so I owe him some fucking money now.
Yeah. You can just buy a 5-link package for your site. But I was sober as well because I was speaking the next day. So yeah,
Oh, wow.
I was on it.
And you did it. Oh, fair play, man.
Yeah.
I love that. Let's bring this one to a close because there's been some seriously big information in there, and I'm sure if we keep talking, there's going to be a few more slips of drunkenness debates that come out. But it's been a real pleasure, Chris. Thank you for coming on, mate. And
Thanks, Sammy. Thanks, Jamie.
I'd love to do your thing with the links. Where can people come and buy some juicy links from you?
Yeah, linkifi.io, or reach out to me on Twitter, linkifi_. Schedule a call, send us an email, send me a tweet.
Nice.
Legend. Thanks very much,
Cool.
man. I really appreciate it.
All right. Cheers, guys. Thanks for having me.
Bye.